Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for the latest edition of Share Your Blueprint. Today, we're joined by Miss Tia Clark. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hello, and thank you for having me. I truly appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, we're so thrilled to learn more about all things Roman Wines Clark, Roman Clark
Roman Clarke
Wines.
Wines. Yes, Roman Clarke Wines.
So I'd like to give people a chance to say it out loud, be proud of it. Like
Yeah.
this is my brand.
Yep. Absolutely.
So, Ms. Clark, can you tell me a little bit about how you first got started with your wine business and what sort of things made it happen for you?
So I got started in 2022 with this business with the Roman Clarke Wines. I've always enjoyed learning about wines. I was intrigued when I was a little bit younger. I'm from New Orleans, so living in New Orleans, my mom and I used to go out to dinner a lot. And she enjoyed that. And I would always see people drinking wine. It always looked fancy to me, and I was intrigued by them just drinking wine, but also that it had its own world. There was a separate menu for wines, as opposed to the regular food menu. And so I thought, wow, this is very intriguing. It has its own world and wanted to learn more about it. And I started out trying to drink like reds and more full body wines. That didn't quite work, but I've always had a passion for it. So I found what I like at the time. My palate developed over the years, but I still had that interest in learning about wines. And I lost my mom in 2020, and that actually sparked me or made me realize just how short life is. And when you lose someone that's very close to you in that sense, it helps you to reflect, on your life and what you're doing. And one of the things that stood out to me was that I didn't feel like I was living in my passion or fulfilling my dreams. So this is the journey that I embarked upon to make that happen and to fulfill my dreams. And so I would say that I was going to have my own wine brand, but I ran from it still for 2 years.
Mhm.
And finally, I connected with another wine woman, female wine brand owner, and in my hometown of New Orleans, and she mentored me to start on the journey with licensing and things of that nature to get started.
Well, I'm sorry to hear about the passing of your mom.
Thank you.
I know that's a lot.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. But it helped me. I always say I would never be where I am now with this brand had it not been for her passing. While it was a very trying time, it still helped me to recognize things that I wanted to do. As I said, to really see how short life is. It's cliche, people say it all the time, but when you lose someone, and in my case, abruptly, then it hits home, that really it hits home and you recognize, okay, this is short and what do I do, to make the best of the time I have here? And that was like a wake up call for me.
So you mentioned a few moments ago that in 2022 that you decided to relaunch.
Yes, yes. So I started the business then. We went through a long process of licensing, securing location, where we store our wines. So we still weren't fully operational until about a year ago, honestly. But the business itself started in 2022.
You mentioned licensing. Does that include like finding a brick and mortar location, or is that something that you're not focused on particularly?
Not right now. So no, it's not, it does not include a brick and mortar location. It's just having the license to be able to sell wine to wholesale to retailers, retail establishments, or direct to consumers. And the when I speak about that, no, it does not necessarily mean brick and mortar where someone could come in and actually taste the wines. We do have space where we store. We do local pickup at that space if someone, prefers that. But when I say licensing, I mean literally just securing licensing and permit to be able to store, to make, and to sell. wines to, whether it's to retailers or consumers.
Can you walk us through that process? Was that arduous? Was there like trips or anything involved with that?
Yeah. It's
Oh
it's
no.
No, it's a
No.
lot. It's a lot to say the least. Just being honest, it is. Maryland is not the easiest in states, to secure that. And then it depends on the direction that you want to go in. Local agriculture is favored here in Maryland. So I won't say it's a little bit easier to have Maryland wines, but there's a difference in having Maryland wines as opposed to wines that you're bringing in from somewhere outside of Maryland. So it can be a very tedious process, and just depending on what is required, and because we don't have a brick and mortar space, and a lot of the newer wineries, specifically um, wineries of, whether it's black, brown, that are coming into this space, we're set up a little bit different. We don't have vineyards, we don't have tasting rooms, all of us. So the way we are regulated or handled is a bit different. So that kind of gives you, I don't want to say challenges, they can be challenging, but it is a lot that goes into it. So you have to, just be prepared, be patient, and ensure that, you're doing everything that you need to do on your end so that, the I's are dotted, the T's are crossed so that you can, sell in this space.
Now, as part of Share Your Blueprint, you mentioned that you had a mentor, and you also mentioned that you don't have your vineyards here in Maryland. So, can you walk us through finding a mentor and where are your grapes originating from?
Yes. So my mentor, I'll start there. I just so happened to, in this specific case, the mentor, as I said, her brand was originated in New Orleans, and she was a New
Mhm.
Orleans brand. When my mom passed, my family all still lives in New Orleans. So my mom was in New Orleans up until her passing. And I took some cousins when my mom passed to that tasting room. So that's how I met that owner. She started a mentorship program, and initially I kind of was like, I don't know if I, want to join that.
Mhm.
But, it ended up helping me to move forward with what I was trying to do. As far as people finding a mentor, I would say look at brands that you like, whether it's locally. Local is probably easier, in your area, but if you look at local brands or someone that's pretty close to where you are, and then reach out to them to see, if they would be, interested in talking to you, or if they would, provide some of their time to give you insight into, this market and what it takes, and making sure that you have a clear understanding, of everything that it entails to begin a business, in the wine industry, because there's so many different facets of it. You don't have to make it directly, but there's so many different roles in this industry. So I think, talking to someone who's in the thick of it can certainly help to better understand where you're trying to go. And even if you think, oh, I want to have a brand, but you may talk to someone and that could change, and you may want to shift in a different direction. So I think it's good, especially some of the smaller wineries, what is called boutique wineries, so like smaller brands. A lot of those people are willing to talk and share their knowledge because they're on the journey, they're in the thick of it, and I know I talk to people all the time, about like what they would need, what is required. As far as my grapes, so we do have four wines that we import from Argentina, and then one wine that we make locally in Maryland. The Argentinian wines, we work with a small family-owned vineyard in Argentina, and I have not been to Argentina. People ask me that all the time. It's something that I must do, just to kind of submerge myself more into the culture. But culture, and then understanding and getting a feel, directly with the what they call terroir, which is the land, where these grapes are coming from and sourced. But I, kind of give direction to flavor profiles I might want. I've tasted, from specific vineyards and I narrowed it down to what I liked and what I wanted to put out there and what I wanted, this brand to have and represent as far as our wines in our portfolio. And then we initially didn't have a white because we don't have a white wine from Argentina. So that is what I chose to make here locally in Maryland. Um, but I got involved through an importer in working with the Argentina vineyards.
Was that connection made through your mentor?
No, it was just by happenstance that we met. We share, well, they rent from the same company that I rent from my well, it was not retail space, but from my business space. So that's kind of how that connection was made. We were at an event that was put on by the management company of the buildings that we rent from. And it just so happened we were in the same space and they were just starting out, as was I. And I tasted a plethora of wines. I actually had wines that I worked with my mentor to get for the brand from sourced within the US initially. But then there was something about the Argentina wines that kind of stole my heart a bit, I should say. Not to say like that there are some great US, especially Maryland wines out there. But I just like the difference. I want it to be a little bit different, than some of my peers, especially in this area. And so that gave me that opportunity.
There's a lot of serendipitous moments here. Finding your mentor,
Yes,
Argentinian wine vendor. A
yes.
lot of great things are happening. Was that like surprising for you that things are starting to come together?
It was because initially I didn't know how they would come together, and I'd say in this industry you have to have patience because even with the original wines that I chose, it took me a while to kind of get those in my possession and to have like enough to pick, from and have a variety to feel like, all right, this is enough. I should be able to find something within this amount. So for that to happen, and it happened so effortlessly, it wasn't like I was looking for another option. It just happened, effortlessly. And yes, it took me by surprise. But then also you just showed me or solidified that I was on the right path.
Mm, mm.
Yeah.
There's a word there.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. You get signs, because sometimes I'll be honest, it can be discouraging. It's not all people see the glitz and the glam, but they don't see what goes behind it, and the patience you have to have and the hard work and getting out there. And you can build a brand, but that doesn't mean people are going to buy, like, or see you. So, um, when those things happen, it feels like you're seen, or it feels like, okay, I am doing what I'm supposed to do. Okay, this is a little light at the end of the tunnel or through the tunnel. So
Hmm.
those are definitely moments that help to just solidify that, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Yeah.
Now, as someone who doesn't drink wine, especially mentioned that the light of the tunnel and all these things coming together,
Hmm.
I think the first part I think of is developing that wine palate. Did you
Yeah.
always have that? Are you a
No.
lover of wine?
I didn't always have that. I'll be honest with you. As I said, I would see people drinking wines and I was interested. I was intrigued, but I didn't have the palate for it. As I stated earlier, I tried to start drinking reds because I don't know, red wine just always looks so fancy to me.
Hmm.
You see someone and they're swirling a glass and it's like,
And
oh,
sniffing it and whatnot?
yeah. And it's like, oh. But I also feel like that part of it can be intimidating for,
Hmm.
non-wine drinkers, right? So I started out trying to drink red. It was not for me. I just did a post on TikTok about this. My first wine was like Boone's Farm. And it was great at that time because I was not a wine drinker. I had not developed the palate for, some drier wines. So fruit forward was it, and so a lot of times we do encounter people that will say, I don't really drink wine. I've never found a wine that, fit. my palate or that I liked. And that's something that we're trying to do. We're trying to bridge the gap for people that might have not found a wine that they liked. And my husband was a prime example for me starting this business because he did not like red wine at all. If he drank any, it had to be sweet red. And I was like, you just haven't found the right one. And he thought I was crazy by saying that until he did, and now he likes red wine. So that is my goal partly in this business is to help people expand their palates, especially if you're sweet wines, and then to understand and take the intimidation off of wine in general. I tell people all the time another reason why I chose Argentina is because they can't add sugar to their wine. So
Mm.
it's the wine processing and the land and the grapes and um the meticulous process that lets that grape shine. So you're going to get something that's a little sweetened, but it doesn't have any added sugar. So if you like a really, really sweet wine, possibly you are drinking a lot of sugar that has been added. So we like to take the time to educate people in that sense as well. And one of our wines, our biggest seller, semi-sweet rosé Malbec. Dry and non-dry, more experienced and novice drinkers alike. They love that wine, and I call that my bridge wine. It's my way to bring people in and, give them something that, okay, this might, I like this or I can do this. But then say, okay, well, try this one or try that one, and see same grape with that wine is 100% Malbec. We have 100% Malbec that's a red wine that's a little drier, but tastes different. So um, I developed my palate over time. And so I know it can be done. And again, it was done, with my husband. So it's my way to help others to do the same.
You mentioned your husband with this too. This is a family business. And if so, what does that sort of look like for you on a day-to-day basis?
So essentially, it is. My husband part owns this business with me, and we have other family members that help us when you were out at festivals or working different events and things like that. They are not in the day to day. That's mainly me, and we have some other assistants that help with that. But a lot of times at events or different tastings that we have, you may see some of them helping out, and they usually are on the front lines with me to, do the tastings, promote and get out there and talk to people and kind of spread the word a little bit more about the brand. So it's not every day. My husband does have another job outside of this. But for me, day to day, every day, this is it. And then like weekends or evenings when we have other, events or tastings, those family members are assisting with that, as well as some of the other help our staff that we have.
I love that because I think I met your cousin a few
Mhm.
weeks ago, and that's how this conversation sort of like came about. I was like, "This is fabulous wine," and she mentioned you immediately, so I was like, "Okay,
Yeah.
I feel that synergy happening."
Yes, yes, yes. And I mean, it's great to have, the support of family. And
Mhm.
it's hard sometimes you feel like you're out on your own, but then to have them backing you and supporting you. And when you met her, I actually was not feeling well. I was a little ill and I still was trying to get out there. And she was like, no, I'll do this. I got this. So to have that backing too, it makes a world of a difference. And it's important, especially as you want to grow and scale, to have support in some way, whether family or not, but people that see your vision and support that.
You mentioned about scaling to and also about branding before. How
Mhm.
do you make that jump and expand your reach? Is it social media? Is it going to events? What are some of your tips on how people can expand a wine brand or any brand for that matter?
I think to expand, or some tips to expand a wine brand or any brand, I think you have to have a presence some way, somehow. So it just depends on the brand, one. Yes, you have to get out there. Yes, if you have a story, that's great. Get out there and tell it so people can resonate and connect with that. People like authenticity, they want to be able to see themselves, in that or in what it is that you're putting out there or feel like they're getting something from it. So I think it's a culmination of all the things you mentioned. For us, the events helped us connect in our immediate area for people to know we're out there, for people to know they can go into a store and purchase, our wines, or they can purchase them at the events or catch us at an event. And then it also does, I think, to reach beyond just your immediate area, um, and even to expand in the immediate area, social media plays a tremendous part of that. Um, it's For me now, it's recognizing the need of what people want, in wine and showing how we help to satisfy that and, showing our flavors of our wine, people reaction to our wine. But social media definitely helps now with getting, a larger reach in, I think, a shorter time period. If we didn't have that, that means that we have to, get out and have people on the ground in the forefront, not just in this area or in any area that we want to expand in, whereas we can reach them, through socials and things like that, without being there physically. So I think both of them play a role, in getting the brand out there and then stores too, but that's still us getting out there. Like even in the stores, you can put something on the shelf, but it doesn't mean it's going to sell.
Mhm.
So, we have to get out there, do tastings at the stores to allow the people to be able to taste what we have to offer, and hopefully it leads to a sale.
Mhm.
Yeah.
One of the cool initiatives I saw on your website, Roman Clark Wines website, is the wine club.
Yes. Hmm.
Can you walk me through that process of what that looks like?
Absolutely. The wine club is membership exclusivity for wines to be delivered to your door. So you can have it's offered quarterly right now. So and there's different levels of it. You can do 2, 4, 5 wines. That's the different membership levels. And you get we often curate what wines well, most times we curate what wines quarterly you will get. However, we do offer the option to, if you want something specific, you can let us know before they're mailed out. We give a grace period and we mail those wines to your door. We try to, give whether it's certain merchandise perks or something that, kind of makes it. We have some things with our upcoming release that we're going to do a little bit different. I don't want to say what that is, but
Mhm.
just to kind of get it more involved and interactive with our members. But we offer exclusive membership discounts. Any new releases that we will come out with. We will roll that out to our wine club members initially. So they will have, first dibs on those new releases and can taste that and ultimately, purchase if that's something that they want to do with that new release before we release it to the public. So it offers certain perks, but also to get our wines delivered straight to your door quarterly on a quarterly basis, and have our wines there year round.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Because I feel like wine is such a like communal drink. Like you can drink it by yourself or definitely with others.
Yes.
What is the wine market in like Maryland like versus being back home in New Orleans or Louisiana? Is there like a difference between what the kind of wines people are looking for?
I think so. Definitely a difference. I think it depends on the, audience too. But I do think here there is a very large wine population and people that enjoy wine. There's so many festivals, especially during like from spring to summer through fall. There's some type of festival that has wine every single weekend here. Um, Not to say there aren't other, whether it's spirits or beer. And you have festivals in New Orleans. You do have that. But the emphasis is not as big, I feel like, on wine in New Orleans as it is here. I do think that you get a range here. We do have a lot of, well, I don't know. I could say it's maybe split, but we do get a lot of sweet wine drinkers. Um, And I think in New Orleans, we you get some of that as well, but you do have some experience. But even here, you do have, that's why I say split. When we're at festivals, a lot of people want sweet wine, or they, they have a palate for sweet wine. But then we also get a lot of people that they're like, I don't want anything sweet. I don't want to taste it. But I just think that the Maryland, because this is a such larger area, you have Maryland, DC, Virginia, you have a larger audience to that you can market wine to and that enjoy wine events, which is key and why there are probably so many, during those warmer months. New Orleans, they will do a festival. I mean, of course, food and cuisine is a big thing there. Now they drink. Let me not get, that confused, but um, a lot of it is built around the culture of the cuisine, and so the drinking is a nice complement to the cuisine there. But you do get, more cuisine focused, and then the drinking will, or the wine, or, beverages will play like a added bonus to that. Because they drink, trust me, they do. But I don't think it's as heavily wine focused as it is here. But that could just because of the larger population as well.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Speaking of New Orleans, I understand that you spoke at Essence Fest this past summer.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That was exciting.
Wow. Okay. Well, share us, tell us a story about that. Did they contact you? How did that work? And what was it like to hit that stage in your hometown?
Ah, wow. That was humbling. It was like exciting. It was full circle for me. I got the opportunity, a family member in New Orleans actually knew someone that worked with the festival. And she just pitched to them, that look, I have a cousin that's in the industry. She's from here, but she has a wine brand. And she told me when she mentioned it, and I was like, oh, okay. I didn't think anything was going to come from it. I didn't want to get my hopes up. And next thing I knew, they were calling and, they wanted to highlight more local brands. And since I was from that area, even though, I have a Maryland business, they wanted me to be on the food and wine panel. So, I mean, I couldn't say no because that's, it's New Orleans, it's home. And as someone that attended that festival for years and, just as an attendee, to be able to get on a stage and speak and, be a part of, have my business, have my, myself and my brand be a part of the food and wine panel at the Essence Fest. It was such a full circle moment. Like I was excited, but I was ready for it. It just felt natural. It felt comfortable. I had a cousin who was doing shooting some of my content, and she was like, "Oh, you're ready," and I was like, "Yeah, this is home. This is it for me." So it was very exciting, very very great time, and I am so grateful for that opportunity. Because I don't even think they realized like how much it meant to me. I tried to express that to the person I was working with time and time again. But yeah, amazing opportunity, especially, just to be home, in the home that I grew up in, and um, just like I said, as an attendee, and to be able to be on the other side of that, it was phenomenal.
Another one of those serendipitous moments meant to
I
be
know.
moments. Like there's
Yeah,
a theme here.
it
It's
is.
brewing.
It is. Absolutely, it is.
So I know we've been talking for a minute, but before I let you go, are there any like big announcements you want to share or ways that people can see you in person? Anything that we like share with us now?
Yes, absolutely. So you can visit our website, www.romanclarkwines.com. Roman, Roman, Clark with an E, Clarke, and then wines with an S.com. I mean, of course, you can purchase our wines from there. You can learn about our company, learn about what we're doing. We do have our events posted. We're outside. Now the weather's starting to change here in this Maryland area, but we're still outside a bit. We do have have an event coming up that I do want to share because it's near and dear to my heart on October 25th. It's presented by one of the first Black wineries in Maryland, of one of the females that started that. Um, and her business is the Royal Concierge. So she's presented by her, but it showcases Black women winemakers in this area. And we will be a part of that. As I said, October 25th, it's at 2:30 p.m. It's in Brandywine, Maryland at Hennessy Creek. So that's a big thing that, we just want people to come out. It includes a 7-course wine and food pairing, very immersive experience to learn about, Roman Clarke Wines and other female-owned wine brands, winemakers. You meet them, you get to taste their wines and our wines paired with foods. So, you can see just how well that works together. And just see what we all have to offer. And so I'm grateful for that opportunity and want people to know that because we want to get people out and see what we have to offer and what like some other people that look like me are doing as well.
Incredible. Um, this would this be your first time attending that event, or have you been a frequent participant?
No, this is the first time that this event is even being held. Like, this is the
Uh,
first time they're having that event. This is, yeah, of course, my first time participating as well. But yes, so it's something that, we tried and, or we're, I say trying, but we're doing, just so people can know, more about us, know that we're here and be able to experience that. So I'm certainly excited to be a part of that. But yes, it is the first time that this event is happening. So we're looking forward and we're excited, just to see and hopefully maybe grow over time, and we can repeat it again and again.
what's it like being part of a community of women, particularly Black women, who are interested in working and have businesses in the winemaking space?
It's refreshing actually. This space, it's not just black as whether male or female. We represent so little in this wine space, under 1% of wine brands. And then to be females, even less. It's a male-dominated industry. But to have other people who are along this journey, who's going through it, have their own journey in their own way, but you're still kind of in it together, and to have the support of that, it's amazing. It is inspiring. We push each other, and we, some days as I said, it's not all peaches and cream, so you want to give up. But they help you to stay on track, to get you back on focus. And even sometimes we may be going through certain processes or doing things or trying to get our name out there, and we're wondering, how do I do this? It feels great to have a community to go to that knows. They know the area, they know, the industry, or might have done this themselves, and they can share their expertise and vice versa. It is very refreshing, because otherwise, you can feel like you're in this on your own or out here on the limb by yourself. Because we weren't born with vineyards, in our families, and we weren't born into a family where this tradition was passed on from generations. So it's good to have that community to be able to lift you up, encourage you, and then also, to be on this journey along with you in their own right, and, growing together. Yeah. I love it. I love I say all the time, like they're my sisters, in wine. And I truly appreciate everyone. And I know this journey is not easy. So anyone, especially anyone of color that comes into this space and that has a brand, I respect it. I have the highest respect because I know what it takes to be in this industry.
Fantastic. Well, I'm not going to ask you a dozen more questions, but thank you so much for your time. We would love to have you join us again to
Sure.
share your blueprint of success. But are there any last tips that I didn't ask you about that you feel comfortable sharing?
Sure. Thank you, first for having me. I truly appreciate, you highlighting our brand, highlighting what we have going on, and the blueprint. I will say, for those that may be interested in getting into this space, I always like to say, like as I said earlier, find a mentor, find someone that's willing to talk to you about it, that's willing to give you that knowledge And at the end of the day, make sure you're passionate about it because it can challenge you. It can be daunting at times, but that passion drives you. And that's, I mean, with anything, and with any business, I think if you're passionate enough about it, even those bad days, you can push through because of the joy that you have for it. So make sure that it's something you're passionate about and just keep going, keep going.
Thank you so much. But before I forget, what is your mentor's name?
So she's not my mentor anymore.
Oh, okay, okay.
But I don't want to put her name out there because I don't know if she does that anymore,
Oh, I see.
honestly.
Okay.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
worries at all.
I've
I was
gained
just
some
curious.
others along the way indirectly. I do have one lady here, and she is the one that's putting on, I don't think she'll mind me saying her name, that's putting on the event I mentioned, Denise Matthews of Philosophy Winery. I call her a mentor. She says I'm too far along to be a mentor or mentee to her, that I'm like she could be my advisor or something like that. But she's been an integral part as well. I call her some days when I want to give up, and she knows how to encourage me, and she can speak to that because she's been there. Yeah,
I love it. Well, thank you so much. I feel serendipity, family, perseverance,
yeah,
growth, networking, community are all part of what make your brand what it is and what
yeah,
will be too.
absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Yes. Yep.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your blueprint. We're so happy to speak with you, and hopefully people will check out your brand. Where can they look for it again?
RomanClarkWines.com. You can also find us on our socials at Roman Clarke Wines, all together, one word, on our social media platforms.
Thank you so much, Tia. Have a
Thank
great day.
you. You too. Thank you.